from Kalidas in Sanskrit, which says, the body goes forward, but the restless heart moves backwards, like the china cloth flag being carried in the wind. So this was the verse that came to K.K. Nambia in 1932, when he first visited Bhagavan for 1 hour, sat in the hall, didn't have any exchange with him, but left. So this verse came to him that he's leaving, but his heart is already there and returning, like a flag being blown in the wind and he's going forward, but his heart is going backwards to Bhagavan like that flag. So this is what he looked like when I knew him. He passed away in 1986. And he was a lifelong devotee of Bhagavan. And this is his wife, Janaki. She outlived her husband. But I want to tell a few incidents in his life relating to Bhagavan's Mahasamadhi. So, on April 12th, in 1950, he went to Ramana. They were called there because many of the old devotees knew this was the last opportunity to come and see Bhagavan. So he went and on April 12th, and Bhagavan wasn't taking any liquid or food or anything. The Sarvadhikari asked him with a little cup of medicine to try to give it to Bhagavan, because he's not taking from anyone. So he went and tried to offer to Bhagavan. He even put it to his lips. Bhagavan opened his eyes. And he couldn't take it in. He didn't take it in. And he said in Italam Adangate. Now is this Malayalam? Italam. Dalole. What? Tamil. He said it in Tamil. Which means, because he was a Malayali. He used to speak to Bhagavan in Malayalam also. So he said, let it all subside. So he interpreted that to let the prana subside. It's going to be over soon. So he went. So the next day, he was having the Griha Praveshan of his new house in Gandhinagar in Chennai. I think it's right near the Adhyar River. Yeah, I've been there to his house. And on that day, on the 13th, that was the Tamil New Year day, he received a letter from the ashram. The mail used to go on one day in those days. Even to Andhra Pradesh, one day from Tamil Nadu, from the ashram used to go. So he received a letter with Bhagavan's blessings for his Griha Praveshan. So he built that house, he occupied the house then. And so on the next day was Vishwa, which was the Malayalam New Year day. Vishu. And he was arranging the pictures around 6 o'clock in his house, a big picture of Bhagavan. And they went outside after they ate, and just to have a sit out. And then his young boy, Vijan, said, Appa, look up in the sky, there's a star. So K.K. Nambia, also all of them looked up and they saw from the west to the east stars moving slowly. It was moving too slow for a meteor or a shooting star. And he said too fast for an airplane or anything like that. So they watched it until it receded. And right away, he knew that that was indicating Bhagavan's passing. He told his wife he has to go to Tiruvannamalai. And a verse came to his mind. He recited the verse as he saw the star. And by coincidence, Gita, but I don't know where she is, she asked me if she can sing some verse. And this is the exact verse by Swami Vishwanath that he recited when he saw the star. So go ahead, Gita. Give the meaning also. You can read the meaning.
It says in the heart cavity, O Ramana, I meditate upon you. Without any worries, I surrender unto you.
Anyhow, soon after that, he got a call from some friend that they happened, Bhagavan took Mahanirvana. And so he packed his car. He knew he was going to stay there for a few days, and he drove to Arunachala. He left about midnight, got there in the early hours of the morning. And the devotees were waiting for him there to finalize the resting place of Bhagavan remained, his samadhi site. So already K.K. Nambiar had gone over with the Sadhradikar, and a few people in the ashram knew. When they built the new hall in the Mahatma temple, right there on the northern veranda, they did put some type of accommodation in there. So Bhagavan Samadhi would be, if you look at the black couch in Ashrama in the new hall, and you just face it, and there's a window behind it. Now take out the black couch and that statue, they were going to put a door there. And they're going to build Bhagavan's Samadhi straight ahead in that open spot. And so you could look to the left, which was west, and you see the Mahatma temple. You could stand there. There's a lotus engraved into the floor at that point. Now if you look to the right, you'll see Bhagavan Samadhi. That was the original plan. So when he got there were some people, a lot of people, but not many people knew about that plan. So a lot of people came from town, and they're discussing, and the people from town were really against this location because they couldn't build a shrine hall. It would be smaller than the hall for Matupiteshwar there at that location. So they wanted a place where they could build a bigger hall around the Gopuram, the Vimanam there. So, and then taking number related to Chinnaswami, I had a dream on April 2nd where I was standing outside of the Nirvana room, and Chinnaswami and his son, T.N. Venkataram, were standing at the doorway of the Nirvana room facing Bhagavan. And Bhagavan looked over and saw me, what's K.K. number said. They told Chinnaswami and T.N. Venkataram, bring K.K. number inside. So K.K. number one, all three of them went inside. And Bhagavan got up on his couch, he took his stick, and he walked out. And said, follow. And they all followed him. Then he went to the place where the Samadhi is now, by the Pali Tirtham, all the way at the end. Just opposite the shrine of the Mahatma. And he drew on the ground with his stick, a rectangle square. And he looked at them. And right away, K.K. Nambiar, this is where he wants a Samadhi. So he explained all this to Chinnaswami. And Chinnaswami said, leave your visions and dreams alone. We have enough complications here. We're going to put the Samadhi where we originally planned. And then, but there was a bigger crowd who wanted it back there so they could build a large hall in front of it, which happened. So Chinnaswami, he said, well, if you want to put it back there, you have to carry Bhagavan's body over my dead body to get it into that place. Which didn't have to happen, but he was finally convinced. So he put the Samadhi there. And he took the measurements, taking number. What happened, he was an engineer in the state of Madras. And he rose to be the chief engineer of the state of Madras. So he's very influential in the state, and he was very active in all the construction activities and requirements of the ashram throughout his life. So he took the measurement and he made the width the same as the width of the Mahatma. But he had to go 9 inches into the old hall. So that's where they built the Samadhi. And he supervised that and stayed for a couple of days. Now, what happened in 1989, I met him in the early 80s, 87, 87. Went to his house a couple of times. He showed me where he saw this car and everything. And when I went there later, must have been 1989, after he passed away in 86, I went to visit his wife, Janiki. And at that time, the Ramanaya were giving us all the films to take back to America to have them restored. They were sitting in the bathroom with Bob in my hand, and they all were deteriorating, becoming brittle. And K.K. Nambiar took half the films that you see on the archival film video, if you have that DVD. I think it's on YouTube everywhere now. But there was one film he didn't give over to the ashram. And they knew about the ashram, so they asked me to get it from his wife. So I went and met his wife, and he said, she didn't have it. Her son in Delhi has it. So ultimately I had to go to the son in Delhi. So I asked her why he didn't give the film. He said, this is one particular film where he broke the regulations of the ashram. And I'm going to show it here. He actually went and what happened in 1946, he came to America. He got an 8mm color camera in New York City, took it back there. In 1947, February, he took this film in color. It's not in too good condition, but you can see he had a plan. You can see when Bhagavan was coming around the men's dormitory, he sort of ambushed Bhagavan. And he had the camera, and he had his wife standing there like this. His wife got down on her knees and put her and touched Bhagavan's feet 3 times. And then he gave her the camera. He rushed back there. Then he gave Bhagavan an opportunity to get up or move away. And he put his head on his feet. Actually put it on his right foot. And then he looked back. Did he get it? He wasn't confident, so he did it again. So this film he never gave to the ashram. First of all, he broke the rules of the ashram by doing that. And Bhagavan was sort of amused by the whole thing. You can see him there. And secondly, on his deathbed, he kept a table like this next to his bed. And he had a projector, and he used to keep playing that. Before he died, he kept playing that one movie over and over again. So we eventually got it, we brought it here. It's not in too good condition, but I'm going to show it to you. Some of you might have known K.K. Namir. Mohan, did you know K.K. Namir?
Yeah. And also, he was very much associated with the Kanangad Ashram. He brought the to Ramdas Ashram, the railway line, because he was the chief engineer, very influential. Because of him only, the railway line came to Kanangad.
Can you make it larger than that?
It's down there.
Yes.
This is it. You'll see the white peacock there. He pointedly told Taken to take it, movie of the white peacock. This is Chinnaswamy walking. PPR. Now this is like a family movie right here. You'll start seeing Bhagavan, Bhagavan's sister. You'll see T.N. Venkataraman, Bhagavan's sister. There's Janaki. That's K.K. Nammir's wife. Lakshmi, part of the family, of course. Kamli, accepting all that. Children, you'll see children of T.N. Venkataraman
The
over here
woman
on
in
the other
the
side.
white, who's she the one?
Pardon?
The woman in the white side.
There's Chinnaswamy. This is Shivananda Swami, attendant. See how Kamli, now they're going from another angle. There's Sundaram, his father. There was Ganeshan, there's Janaki. There's T.N. Venkataraman's wife, one of the daughters, Madhalakshmi. Bhagavan's sister. So that's now they're walking. All these movies were very brittle when they arrived. And if you ran into a projector, they just fall to pieces. So they had to put them through this procedure where they moistened them heavily with some liquid. And you could run it through, but only once, and get a transfer. After that, it will become real brittle, even brittler again. This is a flower garden area. Here's the white peacock. Bhagavan asked him, take that movie of the white peacock with his friend. Coming out of the dining hall. Usually see Bhagavan outside here because they didn't have lights inside. My friend's father up in Nova Scotia watched the film and said, why didn't they let that old man sit down? Because he's always outside walking. They didn't have they put artificial light in the new hall and had him sitting on the couch. That's the only time they did that. So here's the ambush. So this is, 3 times.
See?
Not many people did this. Got away with it. So here is taking number here. Indulging himself on Bhagavan's right foot. Now he's not shooting. So Bhagavan Major Chand. And Doctor will come Dr. Saeed, which you know. Persian and Urdu professor, Hamad.
This was the first color video done?
No, urban bowls did a color video. Unfortunately, he never gave it to the Ashram. We kept it in Bangalore. That's the best preserved movie about it. Urban, that's where you'll see they put Bhagavan's couch out in front of the old hall. And he brought all the people who sit in the hall outside, and they all sat around. You see Sundaram there next to the couch. He sort of, replicated the old hall scene outside because they didn't have light enough there. That was the best movie. Even going up to Ashram, showing his daughter. They kept it until the 80s, and then only they gave it to the Ashram.
Also, in the reminiscences, you see only 3 people who did like that. One was Lakshmi Narasimha Shastri, who translated the Uma Sahasranamam to Telugu. He did the first time, he wanted to do it the second time, Bhagavat said, but he backed up. The second time he wanted to repeat it. Like there is one more person you see in the reminiscences, 3 people, including Nambiya, who prostrated like that and...
I'm sure there's many more.
But in the reminiscences you find 3 people, yeah.
But I'm sure there's many more.
There must be, yeah.
Many more that did it with nobody recording it. Last day, you have the Bengali song and Bhagavan. Sing it. Okay. Anybody? Here. Any of those musical ones?
Sri Chinmoy wrote this song while he was traveling from Ramana Ashram to Sri Aurobindo Ashram, and he said that his soul was at that time swimming in the sea of ecstasy, and he composed this song in Bangla language, Bengali, on June 9, 1999, during his fourth visit to Arunachala, and then he translated it into English language when he came back to New York, and that was on 12th of June 1999. The disciples sang this song here in New York on September 5th, 1999, and I will try to recite this song in Bangla. Karunanayan Anadi Swapan Ogo Maharishi Raman Karunanayan Anadiswapan Ogo Maharishi sanga jane patha amar pure bachan ami sanga jane patha amar pure bachan ekadhare tumi Arunachala ekadhare tumi Arunachala dulal ripal dete tomar majare kariche biraj dhara adara trepte tomar majare kariche biraj dhara adara trepte. The English translation is a compassion eye, a time immemorial dream, O great sage Ramana, the destruction, illumination of the little eye and the perfection, manifestation of the big eye, in you we have found. You are the supreme utterance of the land of immortality. In one form, you are the darling, king, and light of Arunachala. You embody the supreme satisfaction of earth and heaven. And this thing he emphasized in his conversation with Sundaram in July 1994, when he said that all human beings, each human being is a God representative, while avatars like Maharshi Raman are the direct representatives, supreme representatives of the Absolute Supreme. We are trying to follow in the footsteps of these mightiest giant souls who came to earth and whose consciousness is still here on earth and will forever remain here to illumine the world and elevate the consciousness of the world. Now we learn about the star which appeared and Sri Chinmoy Sai himself, because when Mani asked him, was it true that the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram watched the light, that is the star that appeared and floated slowly across the sky at the moment of Maharishi's Mahasamadhi? And Sri Chinmoy said, it is absolutely true. We were at that time in the playground. I was one of the captains. I was only 20 or 30 meters away from the mother. As soon as we saw the column of light, the mother immediately folded her hands and we also folded our hands. We watched the light. It was like a fireball. Then the radio made the announcement that Ramana Maharshi had passed on. This entire talk was printed in the November-December issue of the Maharshi. Those who want to read the full thing, that's there.
What year?
1999, November and December issue of Maharshi.
नीलकण्ठं विरूपाक्षं निर्मलं निलयप्रभं नमामि शिरसा देवं किं नो मृत्युः करिष्यति वामदेवं महादेवं लोकनाथं जगद्गुरुं नमामि शिरसा देवं किं नो मृत्युः करिष्यति नमः शिवाय शम्भाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय योगीनाथपये नमः देवदेवं जगन्नाथं देवेशं वृषभध्वजं नमामि